Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. I thought we'd unbox them, take a look at them, set them up, and see what they have to offer. They start at $999 like last year and go up to $1,599 depending on which version you get. They start at 128 gigabytes, go up to 1 terabyte, and there's a new color this year that replaces blue titanium. We have desert titanium. All the other colors are the same, maybe slightly different hues. Now let's go ahead and unbox and see what they have inside. So we'll start with the Pro. We'll flip it over here. And this is actually the 256 gigabyte model. So we'll open this up. We'll just pull here. Simple pull tabs. And let's remove the top here. So this is my first look at a desert titanium phone. It also kind of has a pinkish hue to it. And then on the 15 Pro Max, this is going to be my main phone. I typically go with the larger size myself. Open it up again, and let's take a closer look. And there's the black titanium. So both of them have very similar specs we'll cover in just a moment. But inside the box, let me set these both aside here. Inside the box, we don't have as much this year. We have sort of an oval cable here. If we open this up, you'll see we have USB-C to USB-C like normal. And then inside, we have a little bit of paperwork here, just like we do every year, and no stickers. So inside, it's basically just a little warranty card and then telling you that you have to use an eSIM in the United States. Outside the US, you'll still have a SIM card. Let me set these aside and we'll take a closer look. So starting with desert titanium, let's remove the screen cover here. They're supposed to have thinner bezels this year as well. And then with the black one, the black titanium, that looks really nice. That's actually better than I expected. And I think I'm going to use the black for sure, based on the overall sort of hue of it. I think it looks really nice. Some people might really like the desert titanium. Now let's take a closer look around the outside. So we have our power sleep wake button. Then below that, our camera capture button. Apple says it's just camera capture, but it's really a button. On the top, of course, we have our antenna lines, nothing there. And then on the right hand or left hand side rather, we have our action button and then our volume buttons. On the bottom, let's flip these around here. We have our USB-C, our microphone, and speaker. So basically the same as last year there. And if we bring in a couple different ones from last year, here you can see the 15 Pro in natural titanium and the 15 Pro Max in natural titanium. And side by side, they're very similar, but the new version is slightly taller. So it's ever so slightly taller. Let's go ahead and put them together so I can show you. So a little bit taller here, and then on the side, maybe slightly wider, maybe by a millimeter or so. So you can see that little overlap here on the side. But other than that, pretty much everything else is the same. Button placement is the same. We no longer have millimeter wave here, but we have our capture button. Now both phones feel pretty familiar in the hand. They're slightly heavier this year, with the 16 Pro coming in at 7.03 ounces or 199 grams, where the 16 Pro Max comes in at 7.99 ounces or 227 grams. And to keep your new iPhone protected, today's sponsor ESR has you covered. This is the new ESR MagSafe Stash Stand set of cases. They actually have a built-in stand with a unique design that allows you to use MagSafe while at the same time utilizing this built-in stand that surrounds the camera. Since the stand is built into the camera surround, there's no metal in the back of the case and allows for an ultra-thin back panel that allows you to utilize the full MagSafe charging speeds without slowdowns. Not only does ESR offer a unique stand design, but their entire collection of cases is meticulously tested to exceed military-grade protection standards. This ensures your device stays safe even in the toughest conditions. The ESR CyberTough case has a 3-layer design that can withstand drops up to 23 feet, while the classic hybrid and CloudSoft cases have been tested to withstand up to an 11-foot drop. Every aspect is meticulously engineered for the ultimate protection with shock-absorbing air guard corners, 1.2 millimeter of screen protection, and the stands protect the camera when folded. Be sure to check out ESR in the description below. Now they have updated displays this time around, with the Pro having a 6.3-inch display, 2622 by 1206, with 460 pixels per inch. The Pro Max is now up to 6.9 inches or 2,868 by 1,320 at again 460 pixels per inch. Let's go ahead and get them set up. So I'll bring in a different phone here to get that going. Now we'll get this phone set up. We'll just scan the little code here. We'll give it just a moment to connect to the phone. We'll then select who we want to set it up for. We'll put in the passcode of my other phone, and now it says setting up phone. It will connect and set up the account. Now it's asking me about data and privacy. We'll tap continue. Now I'll set up Face ID. Go ahead and get started. Position my face within the screen here. We'll just move my head around once. It's pretty fast. Set up. And then we can use it with a mask or don't use it with a mask or set it up later. So we'll go ahead and continue. Then we'll tap continue again. And it's asking if I want to transfer data from the 15 Pro Natural Titanium. So we'll go ahead and tap continue. And it will set up the account. It's asking me to accept the terms and conditions. We'll tap agree, and now it's signing in. Now I have both phones signing in. It's taking much longer than it typically does, so I would imagine it's busy with everyone setting up their iPhones. Now once it's signed in, and that one's still taking a while, so we'll continue on this phone. This one I'm setting up as new, so we'll tap continue. It's asking if I want to update automatically. We'll tap continue. And then it's asking if I want to transfer my number. I'll set that up later in settings. It's adding my different cards to the wallet. Now it's actually telling me how I can use silent mode since we have the action button here. We'll tap continue. Then it's actually mentioning the action button, letting me customize it now. Now I typically just use it for the flashlight, but you can use it for any of the things that come with iOS 17 or iOS 18. We'll tap continue. And now it says camera control. Click camera control to open the camera app. So if we press it, then click again to use the camera control as a shutter. We'll tap continue. And again, we can press it, and it sort of gives us an idea of what it looks like. We'll tap continue. Then it's asking if we want to improve Siri and dictation. I typically skip these. It's talking about emergency SOS. And now it says welcome to iPhone. So we're at the home screen with the default wallpaper. I'll skip setting up cellular for now, and let me get the other one finished setting up, and then we'll continue. Now we'll go ahead and unlock. Both of them are fully set up and basically look the same. Now the first thing that's odd is we have iOS 17's wallpaper on the right. Let's see what versions were pre-installed with here. We'll take a look at the wallpaper and the new features. So if we go to About, and the build number is 22A3351. It did not ask me to update during the actual setup, so let's take a closer look at what we have here. Maybe we have a software update, so we'll go into software update, see what we've got here. There is a day one update as well, it looks like, so there is an update to bring it up maybe to the version we have on the 15 Pro with 2283354. We'll take a closer look at that in just a moment, get things updated afterward, but let's see what we've got as far as wallpaper. So if we go into our wallpaper here, we should have some new ones. So we'll add, and we've got iOS 18, of course. But if we scroll down, we should hopefully have collections, the latest wallpapers. So this is the new one that we have for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And then, of course, we can swipe through white, natural, or desert. So you can pick whatever one works for you. Let me select the Desert Titanium version here. Again, we'll add a new one and swipe down. So we'll pick from the collection here. There we go. And let's go ahead and add this. So these are the new wallpapers that we have on both. And if we go in, turn off maybe dark mode, it doesn't look like it changes at all. Now, other things that are new this time around, of course, are the display where the bezel is really thin. So if we go into settings, let's switch to light mode so we can actually see this. Now, if we're in settings in both devices, you can see the bezels side by side, the 15 Pro Max on the left, 16 Pro Max on the right. The overall bezels are hard to notice the difference, but it is definitely a slightly larger display, as you can see here. So there is a slight difference in bezels. I don't think many people will notice unless they really care about those things, but the extra screen size is noticeable. When it comes to the cameras, of course, that's a big upgrade this year. They look pretty much the same on the back, but we do have an upgraded 48 megapixel fusion camera. We have the 48 megapixel ultra wide this time around and the 5x optical tetraprism telephoto zoom lens on both phones this year. So there's no compromises here between the phones that way. We also have 4K 120 recording, so let's go into the camera here. So in the video on one, you'll see it popped up photographic styles on the left. We can try it, and you'll see we have some new options here. So if maybe I place this phone down, we'll snap a photo. We can actually adjust this and see what it looks like in real time ahead of time. So maybe we want to bring back some of those shadows or maybe just change it to whatever we like. We can sort of modify it that way. We have an option in the upper right to go back. see our styles, and then we can switch between a bunch of normal ones that they have already set up, such as quiet and cozy, muted, black and white, stark black and white. You'll see it changes down here as we scroll as well. So lots of different adjustments. We can actually change the overall color here along with the tone, and those are some nice new options. Now, thanks to this, we actually have the option to go into video, like I mentioned before. We'll go out of HDR and back in the camera. Everything pretty much looks the same right here. We have 4K 120 though. We can record in 4K 24 all the way up to 120, and then we can adjust it after the fact. So if we go ahead and press video, we're just recording here, give it a moment. And then if we go into that video, we should be able to adjust it now. So if we want to adjust this, go into our options. Of course, we don't have anything there. Let's switch over to this. We'll go to edit, and then tap the button in the upper right, and we can switch between 24, 30, and 60 frames per second after we've actually recorded it. So that's great. Of course, you can trim it here as well, and we have some new settings to go along with this. Within our settings, if we go to camera, let's switch to dark mode here. So we'll press and add a little dark mode control. And within the camera settings, we have a new option for the camera control. Now you can see it says light press, clean preview, single click, launch the camera, or double click to launch the camera so you don't accidentally bump it. And then we can have it open up the code scanner, magnifier, or none. So let's go ahead and try it out. We also have photographic styles, so we can select which one we want while we're taking that photo. So we can have a default here. So we have standard, and then we can open the camera and adjust whatever the standard is that we want. So that's pretty nice. And then also, again, if we go back into video, and maybe this time, we'll press the camera button, it opens up, or the camera capture. And now if we press a little bit, it pops down this little interface here and we can swipe. So as we swipe through, it stays on the screen. Now, it isn't something I don't think I would use regularly unless I'm actually zooming maybe, but the zoom is very slow. So we can press to record, half press here, press once. Let's go back into the photo modes here. So we'll switch back to photo. And then again, we can press to take a photo, half press, and then zoom in if we want to. Keep zooming all the way in. You'll see we can just keep scrolling like that. The half press is okay. If you double press it, you can get other options. So it's a little bit difficult to use at first. There's definitely a little learning curve here. If we swipe over, we've got exposure, we have depth, we also have zoom, cameras, styles, and then tone. So you can switch between any of those, press again, and it's a little bit of a press. You can see how very little I'm pressing to get into this. Press twice, you go back, press again, press fully down, and it actually clicks and shows you that it's taking a photo. So again, press fully and it will take that photo. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the front-facing camera. Now we're recording from the front-facing camera of the iPhone 16 Pro. And while the camera itself is mostly the same, 12 megapixels this year, 4K 60, we now have a studio mic array with 4 different mics, and they can have different sounds that can be adjusted afterward to sort of limit the sound or change the style. We have a standard style that you're actually hearing right now. We can switch to in-frame, so this is what in-frame sounds like. We also have a studio mode, so we'll have to compare that with the studio mic right here. And then we have a cinematic mode for audio as well. So let me know what you think of them in the comments below. And so if we go into our photos here, and maybe we'll go to what we just recorded, let's cancel, we'll switch over, go to edit, and under edit, we have audio mix. Now within the audio mix, we have those different modes I was mentioning, and you can see standard, in frame, studio, and then cinematic, and you can change it throughout. So we'll change that and see what we think, and then adjust it as you're actually using it regularly. Now, one thing I did want to mention is we do have an updated chipset internally, and we have the A18 Pro in this phone. Now, it is getting quite warm. We have sort of upgraded thermal support, but recording that video has made the phone pretty warm. Nothing unexpected, but definitely warmer, and we should also have 8 gigs of RAM. So you can see Geekbench on both. We have just under 8 gigs of RAM as far as what it's reporting in Geekbench 6 at 4.04 gigahertz. We'll have to run this in a moment as the phone is quite warm right now, sort of processing all the install, all the new apps and everything else. So we'll run that a little bit later. Now, as far as the other things, well, of course, we have upgraded batteries this year. This is great news. They should get anywhere between 2 to 4 hours more on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. And if we go into our settings here, Go into battery, you'll see we have the normal charging options that we got with iOS 18, but the battery health hopefully will stay up to 100 a little bit longer as we basically have better thermals and we have larger batteries, as I've mentioned, about 3,582 milliamp hours, up 9.4% on the iPhone 16 Pro, and in the iPhone 16 Pro Max, 4,685 milliamp hours, up 6% completely. So it's a little bit of a bump, but many people that have tested it so far say they get about an extra 1 to 2 hours or so. Now we should have faster charging as well this time around. Some have said up to 45 watts. We're not really sure, but let's go ahead and see what we get. We do have updated MagSafe too that gets up to 25 watts. So let's test this by using the 96 watt MacBook adapter. I'll typically use this if you need to charge a MacBook, but you can charge an iPhone with it and it will limit the actual wattage. Now, as I mentioned before, it is a bit warm on the back. I hit about 25 watts or so, but it seems like it's actually slowing it down since it's a bit warm. So we'll have to test this also at a lower state of charge since we're currently at 66%. Typically below 50% is where you'll see the biggest gains as far as charge speed. So again, we'll test this in the full review. A couple things worth noting is we have Wi-Fi 7 this time around and Bluetooth 5.3. So those are the major upgrades this year. Of course, there's other things internally that should make this much faster once Apple Intelligence launches. And overall, I think they should be great phones. Now, let these cool down for just a moment and we'll test out Geekbench scores. Geekbench completed and it shows 3,328 for single core, 8,104 for multi-core. Now, given that the other phone is actually restoring data in the background and processing it, it's actually doing quite well as far as single core and multi-core scores. Just a little bit lower, but much better than even the 15 Pro Max. As far as the overall thermals, let's take a look at the temperature here. So you can see we have probably at the hottest point about 35 degrees Celsius, or it seems to be 96.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Still much cooler than the 15 Pro Max right after this task. And then on the 15 Pro, it's at 92.5 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 33.5 degrees Celsius. Pretty cool as far as the overall temperatures go compared to what we had last year with the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. Speed, just using it briefly, swiping through different things here, going into different apps, everything feels super fast and really no slowdowns whatsoever. Just loading everything seems to be very fast, going into the camera. The overall shutter is super fast, just snapping a photo. And if we try and snap a photo with the shutter button here, we can do that right one after the next. So it's pretty fast overall. You can get in, take your photos. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. It seems to be very fast. So that's pretty much everything for the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. Of course, we're waiting for Apple Intelligence. That's coming later in probably October at this point, and that will launch in beta. It's currently in beta for developers and public beta testers, so that will sort of complete what the iPhone 16 was set out to do. It supposedly was designed for it, so we have to wait and see, but it's a little odd that it's not available just yet. Let me know what you think, though, of the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, and if you decided to pick one up yourself. If you did, I'd love to hear what storage size you picked up and what color you're choosing this year. Do you really like the Desert Titanium? I really think I'm going to go with the black this year, but again, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.